Thank you for pressing start on episode 85 of Underplayed, KZUM's indie video game podcast. Today, we have 2 secret games followed by a review of our featured game, Human Fall Flat. Here on Underplayed, we review indie games of all kinds, the games with small budgets but big hearts, the lesser-known experiences with imaginative ideas. I'm Bo Poe, and I'm joined by another. He got the platinum in Going Under. It's one of his numerous claims to fame. He's the ob to your ib in a cooperative game. He runs like a pony. He loves pepperoni. It's the one and only DiscoCola. What's going on?
You know, I'm hanging on by a thick, wiggly thread, but I'm here. How are you?
I'm doing just fine, my floppy companion. Those are references to our featured game, Human Fall Flat. And hey, if you follow us at twitch.tv/underplayedpodcast, you may have been lucky enough recently to catch our co-op streams of this game.
Follow it anyway, even if you did miss the streams, because we do early premieres of all of our new episodes there as well.
Yes, we do those on Monday nights before they premiere on Tuesdays, because we always have episodes come out on Tuesdays, and we want to have a little special early premiere for those who want to hear it early.
Yeah, and for those of you that catch those already, someday those will premiere a little bit earlier, but this is just kind of you're at the mercy of my life and my schedule.
Yes.
in those terms.
So they do premiere a little late on Monday nights, but technically you can hear them a little bit early and you can interact with us while we live stream.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Sometimes I do go to bed before the stream is done.
Yes.
Because it is that late, but we got to do it at that time. That's just how life works. And we wanted to let you all know that next episode we will have a special guest to help us review Crosscode and someone who will tell us about their work online. Do you want to talk about our next guest?
Yeah. So in our next episode, we will have Proto Dude joining us. And Proto Dude is the person behind Rockman Corner, which is one of the main Mega Man news sites. He's been very active as the Mega Man guy with some insider knowledge in a lot of cases in terms of Mega Man games and stuff like that. So it's very Mega Man focused. It's a passion pick of mine to have Proto Dude on. But I'm really looking forward to it because there's a lot of great Mega Man likes out there. So I want to see what he's played and what he hasn't, and what it is about the genre that's influenced so many other great indie games like Shovel Knight, and how Shovel Knight is now its own sort of cornerstone of influence as well.
Yeah, it's very interesting how that ripple effect can happen, and you can trace it back so easily because the world of indie games is still it's been around for a while, but it's still relatively new. And video games in general are relatively young as an art form, so you can trace these things back. Yeah, Mega Man is Proto Dude's beat.
Yeah,
and
he's the guy.
I'm looking at his Bluesky right now, and I'm seeing that he is covering Tokyo Game Show and is talking about the Mega Man Star Force Legacy Collection. And he's reporting on that. Sometimes
we get dry spells, so I don't see a lot of posts from him. But right after we talked about manifesting Mega Man X9, a couple days later, it was the Mega Man Star Force Legacy Collection is coming, and I was not sure that was going to happen.
Yeah,
because they're all DS games, and I don't know how well you can port those to consoles, modern consoles, without the touchscreen interaction.
So you never got your hopes up on that.
Yeah, and we talked about how there's Mega Man games I haven't played, and Star Force is among them. I don't know how they work.
Well, we're going to get Proto Dude's rankings, I hope, of favorite Mega Man game. I don't know. Should we do a top 5?
Yeah.
Ask him to do a top, or maybe a top 10 or something. Maybe that's overwhelming.
It'll be overwhelming for those that don't understand why each Mega Man is different. They're just going to hear the word Mega Man 10 times in a row.
I know. And I've honestly played the Mega Man Legacy series and also the X series with you and friends and family. And they all kind of blur together in my mind at a certain point.
Yeah.
There are some that stand out because I played Mega Man X growing up. And I love Mega Man 2 and Mega Man 9 in particular. I remember like very particular moments from those, but there are a lot of stages, a lot of bosses that you could show me and I would not have
You
a
would
clue
have no
as to like
idea.
which game they're from.
Whereas like I was in middle school and high school just like writing the list in numerical order of all the robot masters, trying to memorize them. So I concrete knowledge.
That's like I have a coworker who loves the show Seinfeld.
Oh.
And you could, I don't know if he is as fresh on this, but at least like, I want to say 7 or 8 years ago, you could give him a season number and an episode number.
No.
And he could tell you what the name of the episode was, and he could tell you all the storylines that went on in that episode, because an episode of Seinfeld isn't just one story.
Usually like
it's
3 or 4.
3 or 4. Like every character is going through something, and it's very disparate stuff. Sometimes things converge, but he could describe what happens in an episode if you just give him a season and episode number.
Wow.
Like that, it kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah,
Sometimes you have a very particular knowledge about something.
With Dexter, I could tell you like who the main bad guy was for the season, but if you're going like episode by episode, forget about it.
Oh yeah, I can remember the main bad guys, but yeah, that's tough. That's a show that we bonded over a long time ago for sure. And next, I want to do something that we do every once in a while where we look back at some games that we've covered in the past, and we just want to report on ports that have happened of these games to new systems and platforms. This is not going to be an exhaustive list. This is just a list that I keep on my phone as I scroll social media over the course of maybe like a year and a half. I will notice that publishers and developers will announce new platforms for games that we have happened to cover. And so this will just be in alphabetical order. This is secret and featured games from our past that you can play on new systems. And a lot of listeners might be aware of these things. And some of these ports happened quite a while back, like maybe a year ago.
Yeah,
But
I see one of these. One of
while.
these is a port that I already have the physical for, and like those physicals take a while to ship sometimes.
Yes. So just going alphabetically, and again, this is not necessarily every game that has gotten a port that we've covered in the past, but in the A's, we only have one game that starts with A. American Arcadia quite recently came to a bunch of consoles. So Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S. And I remember the developer and publisher were really excited about this and really pushing it on social media. So this was really everywhere, and I was really excited to see that console players could get a hold of this.
Next, we're going to see a lot of games ported to these systems, but Blasphemous is ported to Android and iOS.
Oh yeah, a lot of mobile ports here.
A lot of mobile ports.
Another featured game from our way past, Carrion from Season 1, also ported to Android and iOS.
That's a good port. Chance of Sonar, also to Android and iOS. That's another good port. Good place to play that.
Disco Elysium came to Android, at least, sometime recently.
If you're someone that takes a subway, that's like reading a book is what you need there.
You might be able to get that done in like 2 months.
Yeah. Dredge has come to Mac, Android, and iOS.
And then Duck Detective: The Secret Salami came to Android, iOS, and PS5.
Ooh, PS5, all
and the sequel, Ghost of Glamping, I think is what it's called, also came to PS5 on the same day that this was ported. So the day that game came out, I think they also ported Secret Salami. Yeah,
I bet those probably get physicals. I might wait.
They might.
I do want to play both of them.
They might, yeah.
El Paso Elsewhere ported to iOS.
And Fruit Bus, a secret game of mine from not too long ago, came to Switch, PS5, and Xbox. So it was just on PC before that, I think.
And then this next one is the one I was talking about where I already have the physical. I have the physical of Panzer Paladin for PS4, and it has also been ported to Xbox One.
Yeah, and this one I was a little unsure about because it seemed like it was already on PS4, but it was that I was on the PlayStation app, and I saw that it was a new arrival to the store, so it could have been... Is it possible that it could have just been a physical version and then they released the digital version or something? They used to do that way back in the day on like circa early PS3 days. They would have like a physical version and a digital version sometimes, and it's just weird.
I don't know. I remember when I played it as a secret game, it wasn't on PlayStation, and I only had the Switch physical.
Okay, got it. Okay, then it was probably just on Switch then.
Yeah.
I thought you had played it on PlayStation.
Nope.
So, okay. Then we also have Pizza Tower, which came to Switch, which is great. I actually, if you had told me that it had been on Switch at launch, I would have believed you.
You know, I remember specifically that it wasn't on anything because it was like, God, I have to play this on the computer. I really don't want to.
Yeah.
And actually, that was back when my controller kept disconnecting too. And I remember that one was much less frustrating to deal with than another game I had also played recently on PC. Because that would pause right away whenever your controller came disconnected.
You're not dying all the time.
Yeah. So next, one of our favorites, Sayonara Wild Hearts, is on PS5. I remember when that happened. You told me about that.
Yeah, and I actually have played the PS5 version. I played that on a birthday stream that I did not too long ago. I had played the PS4 version. I just decided to play it on PS5. Didn't pop any trophies, but I played through the whole game. Maybe I popped a trophy for finishing, but yeah, that game is kind of hard to get trophies in.
Yeah.
And then also, Soma came to Switch, which is great.
Yeah. Space for the Unbound came to iOS. That's a good port for that.
Yeah. Another one that came to iOS is the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Stray came to Switch. Now, that's one I would have assumed was already on Switch.
Right? Yeah. That was a big announcement. And I think I was watching a showcase when that happened. And I was like, what? It wasn't on Switch? So
I remember that.
Sometimes these announcements surprise you. Then To the Moon, which is a game that is quite old, well over a decade old, got PS5 and Xbox Series versions, and I think they modernized a lot of things about the game. Nothing
sounds nice.
I don't know about drastically, but maybe control-wise and maybe resolution-wise, I want to say. But I know that they didn't just port it and call it a day. I think they actually made it kind of a definitive version, if you will. So that was within the past year, I want to say.
So here's something interesting. I have it pulled up now on Backloggd, and it lists what systems it's on. I feel like it's pretty comprehensive. I haven't noticed anything weird. But PS4 isn't listed here. So it's been around forever and got ported to PS5, but not to PS4, which is super interesting.
It might have been the kind of thing where they decided to port it so late that they just wanted to do the modern systems. So
right,
that's why it's also not on Xbox One.
Yeah, I just would have assumed that it had been ported to PS4 a long time ago.
Yeah, maybe not.
And then the last one we want to talk about is Viewfinder, which was ported to Switch and the Xbox Series X and S.
More systems that I would have thought would be there at launch, but I also remember PlayStation had a timed exclusive console deal with this game, and I remember this being in a PlayStation showcase of some kind.
Yeah.
So those are just some of the games we've covered in the past that have been ported to new systems. A lot of mobile versions. Very impressive that you can play things like Disco Elysium and El Paso Elsewhere, which is a fast-paced shooter.
Yeah, how do you play Blasphemous on Android?
Oh my gosh. I don't even know. You'd probably have to use
some sort of controller attachment.
Yes.
Yeah.
I used to use this thing called a Backbone that you could plug your phone into, and is basically having a PlayStation Portal or a Steam Deck, and you can play mobile games very easily there. But I would prefer playing that on PC or a console.
Yeah,
I think.
No kidding.
We're going to move on to our secret games, but before we do, there are a few very easy ways to support our show. They cost nothing and they take almost no time at all, and we would really appreciate you doing these things for us if you haven't yet. One, you can give us a follow and a 5-star rating on podcast platforms such as Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You might be listening to us in one of those apps, and you can just really quickly hit those buttons, and it would make us appear more consistently for you and for others. Another thing you can do is follow us across social media. We have links in our show notes for that. And another thing you can do is sharing our podcast. You can repost our stuff on social media. You can tell your indie game loving friends about us, and that would mean a whole lot. And as always, we love you. Thank you for listening. It's time for our secret games.
Secret games.
Secret games.
I know you're playing without me.
Secret games.
Well, I'm here to tell you, baby.
Secret games.
I've been playing too.
Secret games.
In Secret Games, we're each going to reveal a game we've been playing recently. I don't know what DiscoCola is going to talk about. He doesn't know what I'm going to talk about. And we can choose to pick a game that has something to do with our featured game. We could pick a secret game that has nothing to do with our featured game. We just need to pick an indie game that we have not covered on the show before. So, without further ado, we will start with you, DiscoCola. Let the mystery be no more. Reveal your secret game for episode 85 of Underplayed.
All right, my secret game is a brand stinking new follow-up from a developer we first encountered back in Season 5. It is a puzzle platformer of sorts with Metroidvania elements. Today's game comes from Nama Takahashi, and it's called, I'm going to do my best, Ooh.
Oh, amazing. Dude, I have played the demo for this.
You played the demo.
During Next Fest.
I saw that it was on your wish list, but it only said that Bo wants this. So I'm like, oh, he hasn't played it.
Yeah.
But you've played the demo.
I played the demo, and that's what made me put it on my wish list,
Nice.
actually. And in the months since, right after this released, I saw a lot of people on social media saying, like, don't let this fly under your radar. Check out Ooh, or however you pronounce it. And it kind of came out amongst a ton of other indie games at the same time. It might have been around like one of those really big dates where tons of games come out on the same day. And I really liked the demo. I didn't play it like for a super long time, but I got what it was doing.
Yeah. So I didn't take German. I don't know how to do the umlaut correctly. I took French and then failed my last semester of it. So I'm just going to say ooh.
Sure. I think that's fine. I'm okay with that. I
have a Google page open on how to do it, but I have to like stop and think every time I say the word.
I was going to advise you on it, but I think I'm confusing the umlaut for the horizontal line.
Oh, yes. Maybe.
Because
is that the umlaut?
That's the one that goes over an O, I think.
Yeah. What?
Do you remember that band Toth?
Yes.
They had that horizontal line over the O, and we had to look it up because we used to do that radio show that we did.
Yeah.
And we found out that is like an O sound. So we thought it was like Toth, but then it was Toth, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I could be totally wrong right now, and that's just going to have to be okay.
See, I thought it was like, I always suspected it was supposed to be tooth.
Oh, really? I remember looking it up.
We did look it up.
But yeah, I'm not sure about the two dots.
Yeah. So the two dots is the umlaut. And I think it's ooh, but I'm just going to say ooh because
Say that, just one more time. Can you say that one more time?
Is this like a dance monkey dance situation?
Yes.
Okay. Let me open the Google page again. Ooh.
Okay, I feel like that was two different pronunciations, but please continue.
Thus this disclaimer. I'm gonna say
I like
ooh.
ooh. I like ooh. Yeah.
So ooh follows a bomb caterpillar, and let's just call her Bridget.
This is your name for
This is my name for her. I'm calling her Bridget.
Okay.
And she's out and about. She's looking for some food when she stumbles upon, if I recall right, a peach. And as she's about to dig in, some big condor-like bird swoops in, quick as lightning, and swallows Bridget whole. So it's up to Bridget to do anything you can possibly do when you get swallowed by a bird.
It's Smushian in its opening.
Yeah, a little bit, except you're actually like eating.
You actually get,
You have been
consumed.
devoured. So she is inside this bird, and she's exploring the inside of the creature in this puzzle platformer, and hopefully she'll find a way out. Also, for the record, I don't actually know Bridget's gender.
Okay. Well, we can use they, them pronouns. Yeah.
So while inside this bird, Bridget has a few things they can do, but more notably has one thing that they can't do at all, and that's jump. Bridget can't jump. But they can find bombs to add to their segmented caterpillar body, eventually earning up to 2 bombs. thus the name Ooh. It's the umlaut is Bridget's head and then the 2 bombs.
I love that.
That's so clever.
It's so good.
And
I actually did not notice that until you just described it.
I didn't either, but in it doesn't take up the full screen of your monitor. And in the background, it's just like when you start the game, it's just the O with the umlaut. But as you gain your first bomb, it adds the second O and then the third.
Cool.
That's when I noticed it.
I love a creative visual title. We had that last year with so many titles. One that always comes to mind is click-olding, which if you squint your eyes and look at the logo, it looks like another word, and it's just so good when you know what's going on with that game. Yeah,
I didn't pick up on that actually.
Yes. Yeah.
But anyways, you'll pick up to 2 bombs, and when you use these bombs, you can drop these bombs from Bridget's body and remotely detonate them, and the bombs cause an explosion. So these, when they explode, serve 2 main purposes. One is to blow up destructible walls, as you might imagine, but the other is to exert an explosive force in the 4 primary directions. So if Bridget or maybe the second bomb are sitting right next to the first bomb, when that first bomb explodes, anything standing to the right will be shot toward the right with a lot of force.
Right. I remember that.
Or if Bridget is standing on top of the bomb, Bridget will be shot upward, and this effectively acts as your jump.
Okay.
You have to use the bomb to gain height. There will also be frogs that block your path, and to get by, you must locate a nearby fly and carry it to the frog for it to eat, and once it does, it will move out of your way. There are also checkpoints that will do what checkpoints do. It's a safe place for you to respawn, but they also reset all of your puzzle elements except for bomb placements. So any wall that you've blown up or any frogs or flies that you've moved, once you hit a checkpoint, those get reset. So there's also puzzling to be done around these checkpoints. Electhead did a little bit of that.
And that's the game that I always think of with this game.
Well, it's
very Electhead in nature, and it's from Nama Takahashi.
Yep, that's the guy.
And I actually didn't clock that at first. So I was playing the demo independent of that knowledge. And I was just thinking like, oh, this is very Electhead, even though I've only played Electhead for like 20 seconds. Yeah.
And then the last thing, there are some teleporters to bring you to multiple spots all over the map, and will also play a surprising role in the puzzle element of the game as well. So yeah, moving on, stuff I enjoyed about Ooh. I want to start by saying I'll inevitably do a lot of comparing and contrasting with Electhead. So you're going to hear Electhead quite a few more times here in this section, but I try to keep it as independent as possible. So yeah, things I love. The visual identity is really strong. I don't think the art is quite as striking as Electhead. Electhead is kind of like disciplined and had fewer colors overall. Ooh is much more colorful, but I think the part that I prefer here over Electhead is that it's kind of much more cartoony and therefore more lighthearted and whimsical.
Yeah, you see like a big frog with its tongue sticking out with a really cute idle animation.
Yeah, and like eyes are off center,
right.
from the frog and the flies.
Yeah,
and,
it's kind of derpy looking.
Yeah, everything
characters.
looks a little silly.
Yeah.
And then when you pair that lighthearted and whimsical nature with the music, which is also pretty good, everything feels like a cozy jaunt. I think the pace at which the game teaches you new puzzle ideas is kind and respectful. It introduces an element or a concept and adds variations on the idea. And then maybe it will ask you to combine with a previous idea and then force you to think about a new way to combine those 2 elements. And it's really interesting how the game teaches you how to play. You'll get through a few rooms and it's obvious you're being taught, but then you'll see a room with a totally different layout from the 2 tutorial-like rooms you just did. And you'll stare at it for a second and you'll be like, oh, I see what you did there. And it's like Nama Takahashi's, he's like giving me a wink from across the room. And it happens throughout the game. And I feel like I get smarter as I progress. And I'm proud when I combine 2 ideas in a unique way. So next, this is only available on PC at this time. And obviously that's where I played it. You know me, I'm the console pleb. And a good amount of reason for that is because I like to use the controller. But when I play this, I just I don't want to go through the effort of adjusting my settings on the controller because I use my third-party Switch controller on my PC.
Oh, okay.
So I was just like, I'll try it with the mouse and the keyboard, and it actually feels really good.
Oh, sweet.
The scale of the design of the game lends itself to easy and uncomplicated keyboard experience. So it's WASD to move. And of course, up and down don't actually do that much because you can't jump.
Sure.
And then right click to drop a bomb, left click to detonate. And you get used to that really quickly and can even kind of get into a flow state just because those controls are really easy to nail down.
Yeah, and there are just so few inputs that it doesn't take long to cement in your mind. And that's a relief to know because I believe I did play the demo with my gamepad. So that's great.
I don't know if I recommend it. Like if you already have a controller, maybe it's, also great, but playing with a mouse and keyboard felt really good and I was surprised by that.
Nice.
I like the difficulty and length of this game. I found it to be shorter than a Leckhead, even though I think the map in OO is bigger, but it just felt quicker to get through. I don't know if that means it's easier or not. I think the puzzle mechanics are more straightforward in OO, but there were also puzzle solutions in OO that I had to look up, whereas in a Leckhead, I was kind of like figuring it out before I could even load the YouTube page. So it was, just a great difficulty and length of the game. I think I clocked in at 3 hours.
Okay, yeah.
I like just solving puzzles in general. My toolkit only consists of 2 bombs and the order I blow them up. Everything else is how those bombs interact with the environment. And I think that makes the puzzle solving experience really interesting. I don't gain any new concrete skills. I just use them in different ways depending on the room I'm in. So it's like I'm not jumping in a new way. I'm not, my bombs don't change. I just get 2 of them. All that changes is the environment. And I think that's really fun.
Yeah. Something that I'm immediately reminded of is kind of like Baba Is You, where your inputs don't really change. You don't get a new ability in Baba Is You. You interact with new words and objects, and that's how you're changing what you're doing. And
there's actually, you reminded me of something else that I really like, and it's in the credits of this game. There's a section that Nama Takahashi set aside for this game is inspired by. And it's just like a list of 6 or 7 games. I can't remember all of them. I remember Yoshi Cookie is in there, but
Yep, I could see that.
So I want more games to do that, honestly.
That's great.
I think that's really clever.
That reminds me of what film directors do. They'll have their cast and crew watch a playlist of movies as hey, I'm inspired by these for this production. I want you all to absorb this. That would be endlessly fascinating.
Yeah. And then the last thing in the section, eventually I do get to find an Leckhead reference at the end of the game. And I feel like I'm one of the early members of the Nama Takahashi Club. I get there and I'm like, hey, I know what that is. And I'm so glad it's here.
There's a cinematic universe with the gameography. Cool.
As for the things I don't dig quite as much, I find some breakable walls or floors to be a little unfairly hidden. The game does teach you pretty early on where breakable floors might be by trapping you in a loop where you can't really progress until you just sort of happen upon that floor. But if you don't have that hunch in the first place that there might be a breakable floor, I could see you getting frustrated pretty early in the game or later on, even when those breakable moments return in a strong way. Next, I referred to this earlier, but there were some rooms I had to look up online. Now, part of this maybe was because I was in a bit of a hurry. I was originally playing something else for this episode, but it was something a little bit longer, so I shifted to this. But anyways, I was in a hurry, and if I hadn't been, maybe I would have figured it out on my own, but there were 2 or 3 puzzle-solving techniques I'm not sure I would have considered on my own.
Okay. I will say that's a relief to hear that it was so few times.
Yeah. I mean, it was more than 2 or 3 rooms, but it was I used that technique again in this room, the one that I couldn't figure out before.
Yeah. I did remember in the demo getting a little bit stuck relatively early because I didn't understand a foundational rule or something, and I had to play around quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. There's especially once we get to having 2 bombs, sometimes the way you combine the 2 bombs is not what I would have thought of. And there's something with the teleporters, and that's all I'll say on that. But they play a role in solving some puzzles, and I never would have considered how to use that. And lastly, just a really small nitpick. I wish the game had a second ending like Electhead does. And if it does, I actually didn't find it. But the ending I found sort of like involved some violence. And I was I was hoping there was a secret like non-violent exit. It's not really a big deal though. Like the game's still quite a delight. So in the end, Ooh is a nice, breezy puzzle adventure with the right amount of game length and difficulty. Puzzle mains will most definitely find it too easy, but for me, I found it just right. It's cute, it's lighthearted, and straightforward, and can create a flow state with how easy it is to control. In short, Nama Takahashi, just don't miss, man. I'm excited to see what he does next. So from me, Ooh gets a 9.0 out of 10.
Oh, lovely. I'm so glad you picked this. I'm so glad you got to play like a new puzzle game and a follow-up as well. I don't know if I have any clarifying questions, but I'm sorry for, it feels like a lot of what I'm bringing up is just like sidetracking us, but the violent ending is reminding me of another game that's short from this year that I got to play called Spilled, which is a wholesome, really beautiful pixel art game about being a boat and cleaning up oil spills. And the end of that game has a surprisingly violent conclusion.
Interesting.
And I have kind of mixed feelings on it. So it's just interesting to hear that again happening in like a kind of a cute, quirky puzzle game with this kind of aesthetic.
Like it's still not like breaking the character of the game. It's not graphic or anything, but it's like, oh, I didn't expect it to quite go this direction.
Okay. Well, it might make your list of surprises for the season.
Yeah.
We'll see. Very cool. Well, I don't have anything else to comment on or ask about.
I think you'd like it. I hope Nama Takahashi, I think I said this in the Electhead episode, I hope he gets like a physical collection 2-pack or whatever.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I would buy the heck out of that.
Cool. Well, it is time for My Secret Game. My Secret Game is another wholesome, very gentle game that didn't come out this year, but it's only a few years old. And it is called Lost Nova.
You know what? I don't get into a lot of cozy games, but this might be one that it looks like my jam, kinda.
So Lost Nova is a 2022 exploration crafting game developed by John Nielsen and published by Hop Frog. The game synopsis from Steam says, quote, "Your spaceship crashed on an alien planet. Explore, salvage, craft, trade, manage, and upgrade your way back home." End quote. Very straightforward. We love that. And I wanted to pick this game at some point because it was gifted to me by our friend Grant.
What?
Actually, yes.
That is not the name I expected to come out of your mouth.
No, I don't think it's because Grant has played it. I think this was just on my very long Steam wish list. And there might have been like a summer sale and it was around my birthday or something like last year. And he gifted me this game just seeing that it was on my wish list. So it was totally out of the blue. And I just want to thank Grant of coffee fame, Grant, our friend, for gifting me this game. Thank you. So in Lost Nova, it is a top-down 2D experience. You play as a girl named Mia who is on a vacation, but her spaceship crashes on a strange planet, and there are several areas you can explore. You have this laser blaster that you can shoot at things in the environment to salvage materials. These materials are called glems, and you get different glems depending on which environment you're in. So like some examples of them are flora, rock glems, coral glems, etc. And you use combinations of glems to buy upgrades for Mia, perhaps faster boots or a more powerful blaster so you can salvage things even quicker. And you can also find a currency called cores that you use to buy things. And the planet is filled with diverse inhabitants that give you tasks that typically involve collecting and delivering things, sometimes looking for hidden things. And your ultimate goal is to make your way to all the areas by salvaging and crafting in order to find several parts to repair your spaceship. So very straightforward. You've just crashed on this planet. You need to fix your ship and go home. And there are lots of quirky characters you meet along the way. And all of the interaction that you're doing is texts on screen. And what I liked about Lost Nova is that it's very colorful. It's lighthearted. You can tell if you look at the trailer right away, it's just super vibrant. Each area feels like you're in a Saturday morning cartoon, like maybe a different episode of the same series of a Saturday morning cartoon. And you run into all manner of fun side characters. There's a group of small dudes called the Bridge Buddies. They help you build bridges. There are cute robots, little spacemen. There's an area with bears wearing t-shirts. There's a crow that wears a gold set of knight's armor. It's just so diverse and imaginative. And the soundtrack of this game by Topher Anselmo is one of my favorites recently. Each area has its own theme, and the whole thing kind of sounds like it's catered to this space aesthetic, but it's very light and it's very upbeat. It enhances the feeling of the world really well. And then I also love buying upgrades, which feels substantial. When you buy better boots, you move noticeably faster. When you buy those upgrades for your blaster, you can salvage noticeably quicker. And also, I would say that this is a really perfect length. You can do most of everything in just a few hours. I'd say I spent about as much time playing this as you probably spent playing Ooh.
Ooh, okay. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah. So I finished this all in one sitting, just one night. I would say that for things I didn't like as much is I would point out the animation. I think the animation feels kind of nostalgic, but in a way that feels like early Flash cartoons.
Yeah.
Maybe is how I would describe it.
It just looking at the trailer, it seems a little stiff. Like limbs don't seem to be doing a lot of work.
Yeah, like you'll move your stick to point your laser blaster and the arm just sort of rotates, right? It's a lot of that kind of animation. And then characters will bounce up and down as idle animations. There's just not a lot going on to make the world feel so alive as it could through that animation. There's also not a ton of depth to what you're doing. It really is that same formula of just salvaging materials, buying upgrades, looking for those lost ship parts. All the environments do look really diverse and different from each other, but the DNA of what you're doing doesn't really change a whole lot. And then also you have an inventory in this game. And when you look at all your items you've collected, they all assemble in this really long row that you have to scroll through. And there also isn't a quest log of any kind. So if you pick up an item that you need to deliver to another character and you don't quite remember where you're supposed to go, you have to find that item in your list. And I found that eventually I had so many items that I didn't really want to scroll through. I didn't see the point of doing that. And you also kind of have to just remember where to go. This is similar to other games I've played, like Teacup was an adventure game I played where you get all these tasks. And if you put the game down and come back to it, there's no way to review all that. You would just have to remember where to go. And a little bit of that is going on here. But overall, this is a lovely little sit of a game where you get a laser gun, but there's no combat in sight. And I think that's great. I love that this isn't like, oh, you need to destroy these aliens to get these materials.
You're not murdering the inhabitants of the Pikmin planet.
Right.
Yeah.
So there isn't that mismatch of this cute aesthetic and this combat. It's just very gentle and very nice. You salvage and upgrade and move on from one area to the next a few times. There's nothing terribly wrong with that. It just doesn't leave a huge impression on me. I do recommend this for a casual play session if you don't want to think too hard about what you're playing, and younger players would definitely enjoy this too. It's got great music as well. I'm going to give this a 6.5 out of 10.
Okay.
And it's playable on PC. I think it's only on PC, so that's where I played it.
Well, I'm sad to see a score quite as low as that. But I think, I don't know, this looks pretty enjoyable to me. Sometimes I really like getting into that repetitive grind, especially if it's like collecting stuff and then you use that collected stuff to make your move set better.
Yeah.
Like that can be addicting for me.
And when you collect a whole backpack of stuff, I don't think there's a limit to how much you can carry too, which is awesome. But when you go back to your ship, there's a little console that sucks up all of the stuff that you've collected and you see it all leave Mia's body and just go into this machine.
Yes.
And so then you get a sense of like, wow, I just collected so much and now I can use that to upgrade stuff. And there are shops too. You can buy upgrades in shops using the cores that you find. So there's a lot to save up for. And I'll also say at the end of the game, I ran around after the credits. You can still explore the map, which is cool. And you can buy more things, including like you have a cat and you can buy like a cat tree and other things for your cat, and also tons of hats. And the hats that I'm seeing spread across the map are really expensive.
Yes.
And so you could potentially spend a lot of time just exploring, farming for things, buying more stuff. I haven't done all that, but I did get credits and it was a nice time.
I do have a question about the map. I'm seeing that there's like kind of pseudo platforming here. Like how big is this map? Like how wide does it get?
It's a few areas and you'll have a central area that you first land in and it's pretty big. And I first went north to a forest area and then I went north again to a desert area. But then eventually from that central area, you head south to a water area, and then you also can go east and west. So you don't ever go too far in one direction and get terribly lost. And I think you can also unlock some fast travel points. You have to spend money, but every area has a point that you can go to like quickly teleport. So there's that.
Sounds like Hyper Light Drifter when you describe it like that.
It is kind of, I actually did think of that while I was playing. And you also have a map that you can look at to really quickly see which kinds of glems are in each area. So you can know if you have to save up a certain amount, you know that when you're in the forest, you get these two kinds of glems. It's so that's very considerate too. Yeah. So I wouldn't say it's like overwhelming, but yeah, you can jump. There are places where there are like these platforms just hanging in the air, and you do need to use this jump. It's a little strange. You have to use your triggers to aim the jump and then to execute the jump.
Oh.
It takes a little getting used to, but you use that to get up onto higher platforms too.
Okay. Well, I don't know if this quite gets to Jealous Game level. We still have a couple more to review, but I'm interested in this, man.
I'm glad. I actually am very glad, and I think you would love playing this with your kids potentially. And if you interact with all of the little characters you run into, you can do fun voices if you wanted to.
I don't know if I'm that fun of a dad. I have a lot of cool stuff, but I'm not like really that fun.
Okay, well maybe when they're like old enough to read, they could, read the characters and have fun with it or something. But yeah. So those are our secret games. Ooh. And Lost Nova, let's move on to our review of Human Fall Flat. It is our featured game. Human Fall Flat is a co-op puzzle platformer first released in 2016. It was developed by No Breaks Games, and I think they are Lithuanian, and this game was also published by Curve Games. The game synopsis from Steam says, quote, Human Fall Flat is a hilarious, light-hearted platformer set in floating dreamscapes that can be played solo or with up to 8 players online. Free new levels keep its vibrant community rewarded.
Escape the dreams of falling by solving puzzles using only your wits and physics. Human with 0 superpowers. Given the right tools can do a lot. Misusing the tools, he can do even more. Explore surreal dreamscapes, riddled with puzzles and distractions.
So this game, as we go into the story/setting, it just sort of starts, right? I mean, it is a game you choose to play.
Word choice.
And you just drop into these levels that are pretty basic at first. And there is a narrator commenting on the first few levels about the nature of humans. And I think he's saying something about how humans can't fly. And that's going to play a role in falling, which you eventually need to do at the end of stages to progress. You're always looking for an exit in which you fall just into the endless sky, and that gets you to the next spot in the game. And you can play this game either solo or with up to 7 other people. DiscoCola and I only played with the 2 of us, so we don't know what playing with 8 players is like. But you play as these floppy, nondescript guys. I mean, I think they have hats.
They have hats.
But they're just kind of like a white, blobbish form.
Yeah.
And they move clumsily, I would say.
We were calling him the Pillsbury Doughboy a couple times.
Yes, very reminiscent of that. And there is a main game that includes around a dozen levels. Another dozen or so bonus levels are there called Extra Dreams, and they were released over time. And just for people's awareness, we only finished around 80% of the base game required to get credits. So we still have not gotten credits in this game, but we only had so much time. We thought it would only take a certain amount of time, and then
it took more.
And then it took more. So if you are familiar with Human Fall Flat, these are the levels we've finished: Mansion, Train, Carry, Mountain, Demolition, Castle, Water, Power Plant, Aztec, and Dark. It's reminding me of What the Car. There's a whole chapter just called Longer.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. But those are the levels that we finished, which is quite a lot. I think
scheduling time as adult friends is hard, and then when one of those adults has children, it's even harder.
Yes. And so we still have to do a few levels. There's Steam, Ice, and then the final level and the ending. And that's not even counting the extra bonus dreams. But we are planning to finish the game on stream at twitch.tv/underplayed podcast, even after this recording and this episode comes out. So we will hopefully have a third stream coming soon.
Yeah.
And the goal of this game is to simply get to the end of all the levels, I think. So
I think the goal of the game is to have fun, and then maybe reaching the end is secondary.
I think that's actually very true. Yeah. Because this game is humorous. This game is goofy. It's intentionally kind of awkward with how you control it. But what is it like to control it, and what do we do in this game?
So for gameplay, you can walk around in a third-person 3D plane. You have access to a really doughy jump.
Doughy is such a good word.
Yeah,
for it.
I like it.
Yes.
You can grab onto surfaces on Switch, which is where we played this. This is done using your trigger buttons for each of your respective arms. So left trigger for left arm and whatnot. If you do this without grabbing onto a surface, this will like raise or lower your arms. And that's sort of also how you grab onto objects. So maybe that will be pulling a cable or grabbing a box or pressing a button. And then if you grab onto the top of a ledge with both of your arms, you'll be able to pull yourself up onto the ledge. I think that's probably our most sophisticated control mechanism.
Yeah, I'd say that becomes necessary.
It's definitely necessary.
It's a necessary mechanic, and you do have to practice it in those early levels to get it down.
Yeah. Momentum plays a role, whether it's building up a sad amount of speed before a jump or swinging your body while grabbing onto a surface. And you use all of that to jump across pits, climb to new heights, move objects to unlock doors, or otherwise just adjust your ability to move further. This could be placing a box on a weight-sensitive button, connecting electrical cables to a power source, building a bridge out of wooden scraps, or just stacking some crap and hoping for the best. And I would say that's what we've got for gameplay.
And I would say you start stacking crap and hope for the best more the longer you go into the game, especially in certain stages. But this game first came to desktop systems. It's been ported to many other platforms over the years. A sequel called Human Fall Flat 2 is announced, and Human Fall Flat has sold over. This is going to blow your mind potentially.
Okay.
Do you want to guess how many copies this game has sold as of like late 2023?
I'm gonna guess 300,000.
This game has sold over 50 million copies.
What?
Many of those, I think, are due to the fact that it was released in China during the COVID-19 pandemic, and I think it really blew up over there.
Weird.
But that's far from like all the copies. But this has been around since 2016, and it's one of those multiplayer games that I think is just really interesting because it's supposed to be so humorous, and it's just kind of a goofy time, right? And we love goofy times. And so that kind of surprised me. I mean, it's got around like 30,000 reviews on Steam, which is quite a lot. That's an indicator that it's sold a ton on Steam alone. Yeah, and this is our co-op game for Season 8. We always have one co-op game every season. And Disco, you picked the co-op game for this season. So we played this together. We commented on the game as we were going. We're expressing our feelings as we go. So I have suspicions about what you think about it, but I'm nonetheless super excited to hear you talk about Human Fall Flat. What'd you think?
Okay. So yeah, last season I'd mentioned that I only picked Human Fall Flat because I had seen the Switch physical at a Walmart and knew it was on our list, so I bought it. And yeah, the reason I picked this to play was that I had it. And that for me kind of remains the best reason to play it, is that I had it. But I did like stuff about it. I like that the game literally drops you in like from a comedically high height and does that at the beginning of every level, and to a lesser degree after every death. That can be really fun too if you like. I remember especially in water, dying and then like using that to get on top of buildings that I wasn't supposed to be on because you're falling from such a high height. That immediately is setting us up for comedy, and I appreciate that. I like the shape of our silly little bodies. The physics of our derriere is especially comical.
We were dancing a lot.
Yes. Dancing is a good word for it.
Yeah, you can stand idle and use your arms to grab the floor in front of you to plant yourself, and then you can wobble a little bit. It's so funny.
It's hilarious. And you play with camera angles. It's you get a lot out of it. I had a friend of ours message me after they were watching the first VOD, and they were just like, they told me that they were cackling, and I'm like, I was cackling. But yeah, and I'm sure that the reason they were just like living it up was because of how much time we spent jiggling our big old cakes. And in those moments, I was having quite a lot of fun. Some of the puzzly things we have to do were fun and clever. I liked the electrical cables bit. I liked forging the key in the dark level. I liked charging the fuses in that same level. And the way all of that work goes into unlocking the really silly exit of the dark level was also quite a delight. It was like, I liked everything I did to get here, and then this is also silly. Yeah,
it's like those favorite moments are usually a little story within the level, like a progression of steps that add up to like a mini segments. Mm-hmm. So it feels like we're not just doing these arbitrary things. Like we understand we have to make a key for this gate. We see the gate has a big lock on it. It's gold. And we know, okay, there's this key forge here. The key is probably going to be made from a material that looks gold. And then you're looking out for that color. So that adds variety.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah, that was really fun. And I like that sometimes we kind of maybe see the intended pathway, but because there's two of us, we can kind of like cheese it in an easier direction. I remember this in, I think, Steam and Water and maybe even it was Demolition. Is that one of them?
That is one of them, yep.
I kind of remember we were kind of like going around the back way and skipping certain
Demolition
things.
Was weird because we split up. We were on like completely divergent paths. I was using the wrecking ball, and I had no idea where you were. You went in a window and
I was
climbing somewhere,
climbed up
and then
some stairs and was on a roof.
At some point, we converged again. So that was cool. And that was pretty early in the game, too.
Yeah, it didn't feel like we were brute forcing it all the time. Sometimes we were brute forcing our way around the back end, but like sometimes it was just like a happy little accident, and that was fun to progress through the game in an unintended way that was still like valid.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
But you know, that's about where it ends. There's a lot of puzzly elements that I actually really loathed. I should note here, as we mentioned earlier, that the game has sort of intentionally awkward controls. Like, that's the point. That can be fun and chaotic. But nevertheless, I found myself like instantly annoyed anytime we had to hook or push something with a long pole. I hated building bridges that don't actually bridge the full gap. You just kind of have to like get on there and jump before your stuff falls into the void.
Yeah.
I don't like that. That isn't fun for me because it's really easy to miss, and then you have to build the bridge again.
Yes.
And like the most awkward part of the controls is like carrying crap. And then if it's heavy crap, it's even worse.
And I will say, like, one thing I would compliment about this game is that physics seem to behave somewhat with a logic, but there are times where weighing down platforms does not feel substantial. And so you're trying to have your partner stand on something, you're trying to weigh down a bridge with another big bridge piece or maybe a crate, and it's still going to topple sometimes. You're just maybe giving yourself a few extra feet of movement before it starts to fall down the pit. And so, and it's hard to judge distance sometimes.
Oh,
And sometimes you can grab the ledge and pull yourself up, but sometimes you're just a few inches under.
Barely miss it, or just miss it with like one of your arms and you get it with the other one.
Yes.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Anything that used flowing water, a lot of that felt like luck. You know, and you know, a lot of those elements especially in the flowing water, like will reset, but some don't. So if you like miss your chance to jump onto a boat that's flowing to the next dam and you miss, it's just like, too bad. Start all the way back at the checkpoint. It's just like really frustrating. Additionally, I don't feel a sense of accomplishment from solving most puzzles or traversing puzzle-heavy platforming, save for like the ones I mentioned in the positive section, like Dark Area and all that. I don't find many of the solutions especially clever, so I don't feel rewarded when I get through them. Most of what I feel is just annoyance. Maybe the single-player experience is more like mind-bendy because you can't brute force your way around the back in some of them. So maybe there is that sense of accomplishment, but I found most of those same sections to be like frustrating to play at a foundational level.
Yeah, agreed.
Music, like what the hell is going on with the music? Like the music on its own is perfectly fine, but it's loud and it comes in at strange times without warning. It doesn't match the vibe of the game, in my opinion. And probably the worst part about it is that it's mostly non-existent throughout the majority of the game. So when it does come in, it's like sticking out like a sore thumb.
It's like a jump scare.
Yeah.
Almost. And I don't get the sense that that's an intent.
See, yeah, at first I thought, oh, that's kind of funny. But as we're getting to like level 3, you know, it's hearing the same joke over and over again, and it kind of lost its charm. And after a while, I was like, I'm not sure it's meant to be a joke. And so I don't get the choices they made with music.
This has got to be, and I understand a mismatched audio cue or music cue as a comedic choice, but it really doesn't feel comedic ever. This is one of the strangest soundscapes of any game we've played for this show. I cannot think of something else that had a soundtrack that just felt so random.
Yeah.
And not in a charming or funny or creative way. It's just weird. Like it could have been any music at a certain point.
Right,
and
exactly.
It just feels like you gave this game to someone who had no intuition for what music to pick, and they just picked the first thing they found, and they placed it randomly. It was
just like royalty-free crap that they have lying around too. It's just like, well, I don't have a jazz song, so here's some big horns. Have at it.
Right. So yeah, it was sending me, but you know, not complimentary.
Yeah, I laughed at it a couple of times, but I was just like, okay, I get it, guys. I'd rather just have like low music throughout.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
even
fair.
though it's like less of a risk, it just, I think, would have been a better choice and would have maybe like made the game overall just a little bit more enjoyable.
Mhm.
Because there's, for most of the game, it's just sound effects, just nothing but sound effects.
Yeah. It feels like the soundscape is so empty, and
Yeah.
then it roars to life, but not in a way that is welcome. It's so weird.
It's the Frankenstein monster that just like yeeted in like half a second. That's what the songs are.
Yeah, that's like a perfect visual representation.
But yeah, there's a lot more, but as far as notable things to specifically point out, the last thing I'll mention is that the Aztec level can just hecky all the way off. I hate that level a lot. I did not enjoy it.
Oh, we'll talk more about that because we like sequence broke that level, but we didn't know that we did. But also
Ultimately,
not really.
it didn't help us.
It didn't help us. Yeah. Oh,
It was a lot. So in Human Fall Flat, when I'm having fun, I'm having fun. And when I'm not, I'm definitely not. Most of the times I am having fun. It's less about the controls or the world objects being chaotic and more about butt humor. Basically, the highlight of the game was the butt of the joke. Ayo, got him. I'm curious if the single player experience is drastically different, but also I'm really like not actually all that curious. I just kind of wonder, and I don't care. It's possible that this is totally mood based too. Like the first stream, I was having a lot of fun, but the second stream I felt a lot of frustration.
yeah.
Maybe it was my mood. Like, was I taking it too seriously? Was I too sober? Or is Aztec just like a super unfun level that brought me down for the rest of the night? I don't know. There were definitely a lot of positive moments, but only a few had to do with actually progressing through the game. I give this a 5.0 out of 10.
Okay, that's around what I would guess. I would say for my likes, I would point out the physics in some cases. They, again, follow the logic of our world. I like the idea of creating fulcrums, like we can pick up poles and put them on an object that's on the ground and maybe like lift things.
There was a lot of forgiveness in like those moments where you are hooking onto something that's sticking out in order to swing across.
Yeah.
I will give it that. There's a lot of forgiveness when you're like plugging things in or putting things on it's like a key and latch. But when it's like building those bridges, there's like no forgiveness at all.
It's like times where you need to be more creative are times where things can really fall apart quickly. But a lot of times putting cables into sockets, things will snap.
Mm-hmm.
Keys, just grabbing onto things, pressing buttons will kind of just feel a little bit more forgiving. And I also like, how the gravity feels in a lot of cases. I like the idea of pushing objects, handing things off to each other. Throwing crates is very satisfying. So like there are times where just the physics feel right. Also like the lighting is surprisingly dynamic when you go into dark rooms. I'm thinking of places in the castle level where we go into a room and things get dark. There's just some nice shadows for what this game is.
Mm-hmm.
There are many moments that made me laugh out loud, just like you said, like the wobbly dancing. There's a moment near the end of, I want to say it's the carry level, like pretty early on, where you pull a lever, but the lever just comes out of the socket. And I had to do this. You had to drop something onto a glass floor so that I could get to a lever.
Yeah.
And then you're up there waiting for me to pull this lever to open a door. And I'm down there and I'm like, okay, I'm pulling it. And I pull it and it does open the door, but the lever just comes out of the socket. That's the comedy of this game that I love. I think this game tries to do like 3 or 4 different kinds of comedy. And I think that's the one that lands for me.
Mm-hmm.
Another example of that is one you've mentioned, the Frankenstein coming to life. You think this Frankenstein in the level dark is just going to raise up once we electrocute him and he's zapped with the energy. He's just going to like raise up and like walk away, right? He rockets up into the sky. It's amazing. And like, it's a surprising moment. It's so funny to me. That stuff is great. Another kind of comedy that I think will work is accidental stuff. Like in the Aztec level, I remember you were trying to pull a platform along a ledge, like a platform was falling, you caught it, and I was watching you. I was just standing there as a bystander, and I thought you had it, and you're just like, I'm going to grab this thing. And then it just pulls you down into the pit. And it was so funny. So like, there are moments where I really have a lot of fun and I'm laughing. There are multiple strategies that are valid and rewarding in some cases. You can see the intended way, but the game is totally cool with you kind of, janking your way across certain gaps and platforms. So there were times where we did that, and if anything, it saved us time, and that feels good, right? There are things I don't like too. There are levels that go on way too long, and I think the levels get longer as time goes on for the most part. Like we get Castle, that's the first really long level, and you start to wonder, how long is this going to be?
Did I miss the end? Am I going the wrong way?
Exactly. There's Power Plant and Aztec. Those start to get like into the half hour, 45-minute range. Moving your human or interacting with objects can feel tedious a lot of the time. I'm thinking of times in Water and, again, Aztec, where just things can take a long time. You know what you need to do, but actually doing the thing requires so much finesse or so much time or just so much precision with moving objects that I don't feel energized by that prospect. I just feel the frustration of trying to finagle with stuff.
Yeah,
and we both have to do that sometimes.
Yeah, and if you miss, you gotta wait for it to reset, and it can take a while for things to reset too.
Yeah. So then there's also a bit of an identity crisis going on with this game, especially with its humor. I think it's slapsticky, but it's bland at the same time. And there are just so many opportunities. It's not always that the game is making a wrong choice. It's just that it doesn't make enough choices, maybe. One example of this is we've played humorous games with a narrator. And this game introduces a narrator at the start, and he says some pretty funny things. And then where does the narrator go? They could have used the narrator. Like, that's such an opportunity. Where's the narrator in this game? Where'd he go?
Yeah, we could get... Even if we just had like lectures from that guy that's in everything, the game Everything.
Oh, in the game Everything? Yes.
Yeah. Even if it was just something like that would have...
If it was a completely like serious voice, but he's saying absurd things, I would have loved that. There are absurd moments, but they're so infrequent that they seem accidental. There's the music thing. It seems like a strange mismatch with the game. It just feels like random choices are made. Absurdity can feel random, but I think there needs to be a degree of consciousness with making decisions that involve absurdity too. I think there needs to be some kind of a balance, and it just feels like the game doesn't quite achieve that balance. So overall, Human Fall Flat is, I would say, more tedious than fun for me. The puzzles are satisfying to figure out. We do make constant progress, but we're also stopped frequently because of tedious tasks involving moving objects. I don't think I could play this game alone, and I was very glad that I was with you, for sure. I'm going to give this a 5.5.
Oh, wow. Liked
out of
it more
10.
than I did. Okay.
That's just the score I came up with earlier. I thought about going down to a 5 with you. I'm just going to stick with the score that I almost went with a 6, and then I thought about it more, and I was like, maybe we need to go. 6 is like the lower end of good. I'm going to go with a 5.5. Again, just because this game did make me laugh. There are moments that, made me laugh out loud.
Yeah,
so I have,
there
go.
was some raucous laughter in
sure.
certain points.
For sure. This game made us do things that we haven't done with other games. Like this game made us sing a lot. I think we were blowing off steam a lot. With all the singing and like voices we were doing.
There was a lot of room for singing because there was no music in the game.
Maybe that's why we were doing that. Actually, you have a point. So I'm wondering, can we just go level by level of what we played and just reminisce on what we remember?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say the first 3 or 4 levels happen so quickly that you can almost remember them as one. So we've got Mansion, which I think just takes like a couple minutes to finish.
I don't remember Mansion, dude.
It's that's where the narrator's talking to us, and we're just learning how to press buttons and open doors, I think. And then there's Train, where we had to climb up that train that was on the building.
Yeah.
That was the first moment where I thought, Ruh-roh, we're not going to be able to get, are we going to be able to get through this game? Like, is this, and then we found out that we don't have to climb up that train. We just go through the door.
We spent a long time trying to get.
We did. And that's before we realized that you can't, like, the game isn't designed around climbing up walls, which is sort of what you try to do with that train at a certain point. We were just trying to jump up the train.
Yeah.
That's not what's intended at all.
And this is also before we learned that you can pull yourself up on ledges too. So we don't even, that's not even a concept yet.
Yes. Yeah. The game does tell you that, I think, in the mountain level, or maybe the carry level. But after the train, we have carry, which I think is more about learning how to grab things, take crates, put them on buttons to open doors. And then right after that, we have mountain, which is where I think we had a tutorial to pull ourselves up ledges.
Yeah.
So to the game's credit, it is teaching us these things in these like 4 really short levels. I consider this like the introduction set of levels.
I feel like mountain was a level. Like
it was longer than the first 3, I think. Yeah, but that's where we needed to pull ourselves up to get places. But yeah, I don't remember a ton else about these. I remember
getting on the tops of trains, and I remember learning about the boxes in carry, and just like there were a lot of doors, and I was like, oh, I think I got to the back exit, but actually it was just like exactly where I was supposed to go.
Yes.
So
where we started to really understand the scope of some levels was demolition. This is where you split off, you went to the left into that window, and I had the wrecking ball and I knocked over that wall. And that worked. That was an example of, oh, I wonder if this is how this works. And the wall just, crumbled. That was great. I don't know if you even got to see that because you were off doing something else.
I saw I think I did see it.
Okay.
Like I just happened to look over at the right time.
Yeah. And then that level felt like a maze at a certain point.
Yeah. I felt like when we were in that level, I was like, okay, good. This is the chaotic sandboxy game I wanted it to be. It wasn't that. But, you were over there and I was up here and I was just, it was like I get to explore and there's chaotic physics and buttons and stuff to push. And I was just like, this is okay. Maybe this is going to be okay.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was this level where we learned that just one person needs to get the checkpoint.
Yeah, we didn't learn that yet.
We didn't learn that yet. Okay, that might have been castle or
no.
water.
You know what? I think maybe we didn't learn it, but we had the suspicion because one of us fell off.
Yeah, I fell off. I fell off, I think, and spawned next to you.
Yeah.
And this game does the thing you see in lots of split screen multiplayer games, like think of your Split Fictions and your It Takes Twos, where, just the screen is split down the middle and I have one side, you have the other. And I saw your perspective and I just fell into your view and I'm right in front of you.
Yeah.
And so that was a little bit of a relief, but I also was wondering, was I supposed to do something on my side before joining you?
And
Is this a mistake?
You were really close by. So I was like, that in my mind was like, he was just close by and this is the closest spawn point. Like, I don't think I even understood the checkpoint thing yet.
Yeah, I think it was not until perhaps castle or water where we really started to understand that. You remarked right away in castle that, oh, this is not going to be my favorite thing because you don't like fantasy, like medieval stuff. And it appeared that we now had a pretty big level in front of us that involved that.
It was huge.
It was very big. It did use a lot of paraphernalia from medieval times. But one part I really liked actually was when I saw you use that hook to swing across a gap. You used a long hook. There was a pole sticking out of the wall, and you actually had to swing on that. And you got the checkpoint. I didn't have to worry about doing that. And then also, there was a moment with the windmill at the end. And we actually have this moment saved. So let's listen to that real quick. This was the moment when we were at the base of a giant windmill that was spinning really fast, and we realized we had to grab onto the spinning part.
Yeah, we were kind of like looking at it for a while, and I was trying to I had made 3 revolutions, and I got back down, and we were just sitting there. Oof. Ow.
Hi.
Hi. Help me up. Carry me.
Carry the friend.
Oh. That was a nice moment that we shared.
That was a nice moment. Just the simultaneous realization. Oh,
That's how we do it.
yeah.
So that's what I think we both realized at the same time. Is like momentum plays a role in this game, and so I was
Yes.
just like, oh, that's it.
I did like that idea for sure. Sometimes it didn't really work the way you would expect. Sometimes it worked surprisingly well. And I think that soundbite also illustrates how quiet the game is.
Yes.
Too. As we were listening to that, I was like, yeah, this game is super quiet sometimes.
That's not a recording of the room without,
No.
with our headphones in. That's the game.
That had the
That's
game
the stream.
volume fully integrated, and you didn't really hear a whole lot in there. So, yeah, Castle. I'm trying to think what else we did. That we had to jump across water. We had to swing a lot.
I remember the catapult and breaking down the door.
Oh, you did an awesome job getting in the catapult, grabbing the wall, and then just sort of dropping down into that hole.
Yeah, it just kind of like spidered down.
I don't know how you did that.
I don't think that's the intended way. Just like,
are you just supposed to aim for
I
that
think you're
hole?
supposed to aim, but
I
that
don't know
sounds
how that's
terrible.
possible. Yeah, you just dropped in there. That level, I think you were the MVP. You kept getting a lot of the
Thank you.
checkpoints. Yeah. Then we had water. This level was long too.
Yep.
At first, I liked the idea of getting a raft and the game kind of suggesting that you need to take this raft to this beach where you see this bigger boat. You actually didn't need to do that. You could just swim kind of to the beach where the boat is. You did need the big boat, and we had to push that boat into the water.
Yeah.
And that took us like 10 minutes or something.
Hell.
Yeah.
It was bad.
We're both grabbing it and pulling it. One of us is pulling it while the other is pushing it. We're both pushing it. We're trying every combination. I'm using a big pole to try to push it in while you're pulling it.
Yeah, and we
into
didn't even, those poles were like sticking vertically in the ground at the start. I didn't even recognize at first that they could be manipulated.
Yeah, and then I had just had this suspicion, like, why are those there? And then I just went over and they fell over immediately. And I go, oh, you can pick these up.
And so you're supposed to do something with those. I thought maybe like use them as rollers underneath. But by that point, we were like inches from the water anyway.
Yes.
So there's no ground left to roll.
I had an idea similar to that. Instead of rollers underneath the boat, I thought turn them like parallel with the boat and have them side by side and create like a track on which to slide the boat down. Like you see when people bring their boats to the lake and they have like a little ramp that brings the boat down actually into the water. But we were so close to the water at that point because we'd spent like 15 minutes doing that.
I did. So in that level, the first half of the level, you like get the raft, you go to the speedboat, then you go to like a shipping container boat or whatever. You're like getting a bigger boat.
Bigger and bigger boat.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
And I thought that was going to be the whole level. That's not what it ended up being.
Like, and imagine after that big boat that we were in, imagine if we were in an even
like an
bigger boat,
aircraft carrier or something. Yeah.
And like a boat that's the size of a planet. You know, like the game could have done something like that.
That's funny.
Right.
That's funny.
Yes.
Do that comedy game.
Exactly. Like that's what I'm pointing out when I say this game has an opportunity to just do something funnier. Not that what it's doing is like wrong. It's just making a choice that isn't as strong. You know what I mean? And then we start getting on platforms going into the water and we have to stay on the platforms. And I found myself falling in the water a ton and we had to reset. And water is the level where I got stuck.
You got stuck, like literally stuck.
I actually had a moment very similar to what happened to us in Octodad, the co-op game we chose for last season. 2 awkward controls games in a row. I'll try not to pick a third awkward controls game in a row for next season, but I got stuck in that game in a bridge, and here I got stuck on a ramp. My arm was just in the environment, and we had to reset that checkpoint. And you were trying to drop down on me to try to unstuck me. You tried to like grab and hold and just pull me down. It didn't work.
None of it worked.
Yeah. And that was just because I respawned, fell down like you always do when you respawn, and my arm just clipped into this ramp. And I just was hanging there. And that was funny. It was funny, but we had to reset that checkpoint.
And then I found the last half of that level just generally frustrating because you have to wait for the raft to reset in the like dam section, and it was just,
I thought it was clever that you had to attach the chain from the lift to the dam to like remove it.
yeah.
That was a cool idea. And that was an idea where it's like, okay, how do we get this water to go down this slope? We can't pull it with just our bodies. And then it's just this tool, this big tool right in front of us is the lift.
Did we look that one up? Was that the first thing we looked up, or did you? Because
I think I came up with that.
okay,
Yeah,
because I was just like not even on that.
I noticed
wavelength.
there was the chain on the pole in the ground, and I noticed that the lift had a pole on it. And so I thought, oh, will that chain reach? And it did. And that was satisfying. But we did start looking stuff up, I think, in Power Plant or Aztec. Power Plant was next. This was, I think, one of our favorites because even though it was longer, we had the cables that we had to put into the sockets to power things, and that's always kind of fun.
And was that the one with the coal at the end?
The coal at the end.
Like we had to bring coal from one side of a highway to another and drive that truck.
Oh, that was scary. Yeah.
Driving the truck was a little much, but it was also like that sort of chaotic fun.
That was fun, yeah.
To a point. It was...
And I can't imagine doing that solo.
Yeah.
But one of us was steering, one of us was accelerating.
Yeah.
Because there were two levers on that thing.
So that was kind of fun. I wish that it was maybe just like a little bit easier to pull off. I think the highway's just a little too...
It's comedically windy.
Yeah.
I get what they're doing there.
And I liked lighting the coal on fire to solve the puzzle. That was a fun thing to do.
Yeah. Lifting the doors of the burners like that. I needed your help with that.
I don't think we actually had to close them at the end, but I still wanted to.
Yeah. You feel remiss not doing that. And then we get to Aztec.
I hate that level, man.
Aztec.
So bad.
I remember the long pole and the crates. You know, we were messing with that so much. I looked that up. I wouldn't have figured that out on my own.
Yeah.
That you have to use the weight of the crates to float yourself on the pole.
Never
to the
would have
column.
considered.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And we ended up skipping an entire section, but we didn't know that. And then we thought that the area that was technically before the section that we got to was the next section. And so we were then backtracking without knowing.
Yeah.
And we wasted so much time.
It was rough. I didn't enjoy that level at all. That's the one with the big rock that falls down. You have to ride the rock.
Oh, yeah. We looked that up, too.
Yeah.
That's right. That level
I think
just
that
goes
was
on and on.
That's the most standout piece in my mind from that level. But I also still did not enjoy that part very much.
And then just the beginning where you have to go around that wall. We were trying to do that for way too long. And we were thinking like, this level still has a lot of level in it.
I don't even remember what the solution ended up being for that.
Didn't we just have you hold down the pole while I walked on it and jumped? And we had to try it a few times.
Yeah, that's what we ended up doing. You're right.
And so there are some times where you're doing that, you're holding something down for me, and I'm thinking, how do you do this solo? Yeah. So I don't know. The video I was watching was some guy playing it solo. So you said you were
it can be done.
Mildly interested in knowing how that was done. If you want to look up that video, you could watch a few moments if you wanted to. And then the last level that we got to, probably my favorite level, which is a surprise because I had a string of moments leading up to this in Water and Aztec that were really bringing me down. We got to Dark, and I ended up liking this level a lot.
Yeah, Dark was really cool. It had a lot of cool ideas. It had like just logical level design, honestly. It was like, okay, here's this locked door in the center. There's paths off to the left and paths off to the right. You have to do both to solve this puzzle down the middle.
Yep.
And then you climb the tower, and charging those fuses was fun, finding them. It was just like good level design. And when you told me one of the levels was dark, I was like, I hate dark levels. I thought it was going to be like literally hard to see.
Yeah.
And that's what I was like so scared of.
But more, it was almost like a Halloween
It was,
themed level.
It was just like, it's nighttime.
Yeah.
And there is a monster.
Yeah, there's like a Frankenstein's monster that we're bringing to life. That's a fun little story thing. You know, it doesn't have to do anything more than what it did. But going up to that tower, you're climbing up that, you then collapse, and you've got the material that we need, I think, to smelt into the key. And fitting that key in the door was funny because that was an instance where you actually did have to fit it perfectly into this big lock.
Yeah, that was pretty silly.
And we get to the Tesla coil thing, and it just tells you there are 2 fuses you have to find, and we have to charge those batteries too. And how do we do that? So there were these steps. We had to take that elevator down. I really liked all the little moments in that. And we go really high. We go underground. Just super interesting.
There's a minecart in that one.
Yeah, that's right.
It didn't wow me, but it was just like cool that it was there. It's a nice set piece.
Yeah, totally. So that's what we got through. And we have Steam, Ice, and whatever the final level is in the ending.
We played a couple like checkpoints worth of Steam, I think.
I think we did, yeah. So we'll get to those soon. I would like to finish the game and get credits. But yeah, I think we definitely played enough to be able to review it and just talk about some fun moments. But like, I just don't know that there is a whole lot to comment on other than what we've said.
I'm guessing that maybe ice physics could potentially provide a lot of funny moments, but it could also just like be another Aztec where it's just like, can this be over, please?
Yeah, we'll see. In the full playthrough I was using to look up solutions, the last few levels don't take nearly as much time for this player as like Aztec and water and things like that. So hopefully
we'll see.
We'll see.
I don't like not liking games, man.
Yeah.
So, and I just didn't love this one.
And just revisiting what you said a moment ago, you don't know what it was about the second session.
Yeah.
Where like you were just not having as much fun. Maybe it was the levels themselves. Maybe it was your attitude that day. I was feeling the same way.
Yeah.
I was like, the breeze was taken out of my sails a little bit. Very happy to play with you as always. Very happy to play like a co-op game with a friend. But there's something about that first stream where maybe it was inebriation. Maybe it was just that we hadn't played a co-op game in a while and it was the first stream of the game. I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe the best part of this game is just a big old butt, and once you get that all you can out of that joke, then it's just like, well, this is my life now.
Yeah, we got the big butt out of our system.
Yeah, honeymoon phase was over.
Damn, I think there's truth to that.
Yeah.
Anything to say about Human Fall Flat other than that?
I don't think so, man. We'll see how the other few levels treat us, and I don't like ending on sour notes, man. But this was a game that I thought that I would get a lot of laughs. I didn't get as much as I wanted.
I think we created our own fun in some really entertaining ways, and I hope that when we reach credits, that gives us a level of catharsis.
Yeah.
That won't be so ugly of a way to end our experience with it. But
it would be nice if in the last episode of the season, when we talk about score regrets, I hope that this is one of them.
Yeah, I hope so too. That's kind of why I also kind of hedged my rating a little bit with like the 5.5. I didn't go down to a 5. I didn't go up to a 6. I was just kind of feeling like, okay, let's go in the middle. But that is our review of Human Fall Flat. You can play it on PC, Mac, Linux, Switch. Switch 2. Actually, I think the Switch 2 version is announced for next year, but it's announced. PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, iOS, and Android. DiscoCola rated it a 5. I rated it a 5.5. That's the end of this episode of Underplayed. You can find more of our episodes at kzum.org/underplayed and on common podcast platforms like Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Our music comes from Jack Rodenberg. Our art comes from Onimochi. Check out our show notes where you can find and follow us across social media. We're on Bluesky, Instagram, and Threads. You can find my links down below too.
And I am at DiscoCola in a lot of those places as well. And hey, KZUM has a video game music radio show currently called Press Start to Listen, but will soon be called Demo Mode. So keep your eye out for that name change where you can hear music like the music from Las Nova, which I will definitely be playing on that show very soon.
There are several tracks that will go well with that show, I think. I think you'll have a good time. Next time, we will have 2 more secret games to review. We will have a discussion with our guest Proto Dude, and together with Proto Dude, our featured game will be Crosscode, an action RPG developed by Radical Fish Games. Until then, everyone, keep on playing.